Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another Dokkan battle video, and today we are returning to a series that I have done a couple of times. I really wanted to do this series again going into the new year because this is something that I really enjoy and obviously is very akin to my top 5 best and worst animations of the year video. That of course is my animation analysis videos. I would like to do this for every single new unit that comes out. I don't know if I'll be able to do it super quickly for every new unit that comes out because obviously whenever a new unit drops, 9 times out of 10 your boy is handling the data download basically into the next day. But hopefully I will be able to do these in a timely manner like today. Had some free time in the morning, so we're going to be taking a look at Vegeta's animations. Now, so far, I am actually quite the fan of some of these, but we're going to head and watch the whole thing first. We're going to take a look at all of it, and then after we watch it, we'll go ahead and dissect it. So let's go ahead and just watch through in the beginning. I'm not going to have any sound because once we get to the part where I'm like, going through it a bunch, you're not going to want to listen to it. Trust me. But if you'd like to hear the audio for the animation, it'll be linked at the end of the video, or obviously you can just check on the channel. Alright, so we have Vegeta's technique here with obviously the various blasts flying at the enemies. And I believe that that is an AoE super. It's kind of weird that they like don't show that, but they obviously do show it in the Great Ape. This is pretty cool, I have to say. This 18 key looks absolutely incredible, and I love the smoke effects too that are very stylized in the Saiyan Saga. Okay, so here is the AoE. I'm sorry, my bad. Best KO screen in the game, by the way. Maybe not the best, but it's certainly up there, at least top 5 for sure. This animation is also really great. Of course, that is an iconic shot of Vegeta holding the fake moon to transform into the Ozaru. Midway transformation, Vegeta looks cursed as always. And then, of course, we have the giant monkey displayed before us here. Decent transformation animation, I will say. I do like the card art for this guy a lot. This 12 key, though, definitely not it. I really can't believe that for a modern day LR, that's as long as it is. It's literally like 2 seconds. This 18 key we will also be talking about too, because oh boy, there is some shenanigans that ensue with the 18 key. So let's go ahead and actually dissect right through it. I really wish that we could get animations in better quality, by the way. Unfortunately, because obviously these are just taken from Twitter and then re-uploaded, right? The highest quality that we have is 720 because that's what Twitter can do. Alright, so before anything, right, before we even get into the animation, obviously the intro animation that we have for Vegeta here is, of course, the iconic Goku and Vegeta standing off, right, about to face off in the wastelands, which I think looks really good. They definitely did a good job with this part. Again, unfortunately, this is something that kind of stinks with the sprites. This looks great, by the way. I love that they included these poses because they definitely need to include it in more. I saw on Twitter the other day that actually with this pose, the only 2 places we have this in the game are the April Fool's cards and the Super Strike, which is criminal that this actually doesn't have like a proper card art. And even this card still doesn't have this as the art. I will say this is kind of unfortunate with the sprites because obviously if they had a different way of displaying the enemy character for different things like this, right, I think that these animations would look a ton better. A ton. Because at the moment, as you can see, this looks super awkward because Goku not only doesn't look like the right size, it looks it looks very funny if you really like take a second to look at it, because he definitely looks like way too big for how big that he should be compared to Vegeta here. Obviously his pose is just kind of like a little bit weird. At least the sprite is decent quality. Obviously they are using the enemy sprite, I assume anyway, of the brand new LR or just an updated Saiyan Saga Goku sprite from another unit, though I'm not sure what that would be in recent time because, you know, only the Goku that we're literally getting now is the only one I can really think of. Alright, so moving on to the 12 key super attack. I do quite like the color palette of this, and I think Vegeta himself looks really, really good throughout this whole essay. They do a good job of capturing the Saiyan Saga style. Nice rounded eyes, right? A lot of rounded edges as well, just on everything. Nice bright colors, as it were. It is interesting, I will say this animation does use a lot of, like, backgrounds like this, which is very much so like your anime zooming background effects, you know what I mean? It's so weird because I feel like we don't see these too often in Dokkan, but I mean, obviously it's cool to see them included. The explosions here, by the way, look fantastic. Let me actually go back and capture that part here. I'll talk about the ki blast in a second, but man, those explosions look really great. I love how each one hits the ground and it has impact and a little burst of the rocks here. This is obviously really cool. I love the style of this. This kind of reminds me of Buchigiri match, I'm not gonna lie. This looks exactly like a Buchigiri match card, literally just like that section there. Obviously we have the various ki blasts, again, basically the same explosion effect. And then weirdly enough, it comes up from the side, which is interesting. So I will say, I have heard some people talk about the ki blasts here. I'm not sure how I feel. I think that this chunk here, right, is okay in the beginning. Or obviously he's like getting ready to fire. I don't think that there's really too much that I see wrong with this section. There are some weird transitional bits, like I don't know if you saw that with the hands there, but obviously when his hands go from open to fist hands, that's like one frame that looks kind of awkward. There's definitely a better way I feel like they could have done that, but like this section with Vegeta's movement looks pretty good. The light flashing against his body also looks great. I like the way that they sort of give you a perspective of these beams moving with that shot too. And then all of them kind of crisscrossing does look really, really cool, but I will say, it does feel very simple. Like, I like it a lot, but I think that this almost just feels like a TUR super attack to me, right? Like, I understand it is just a 12 key, so obviously it's technically not supposed to be as crazy as the 18 key. But for me, it still just feels like that's a TUR super attack, because there are some 12 keys that, you know, in my opinion, if you watched my best of 2021 video, I talked about how I really like a lot of the 12 keys on some of the big boy LRs more than I do the 18 key, so it's definitely a possibility. But we move on to the 18 key. Speaking of which, obviously Vegeta looking down at the enemy here, and I think that this shot looks pretty good. Again, love the stylized look of the Saiyan Saga. This is pretty cool too, with obviously the green surrounding him. The glow and the electricity look great as well. The rocks crumbling look perfect too. Again, colors here are absolute peak. Very, very nice. Hydrate while we're seeing the card art. Hydrate, baby. Definitely drink some water, boys. So obviously we have Vegeta getting ready for the big blast here. I think this part, funny enough, also kind of looks like a Buchigiri match card. But I really, really like this section. Obviously, Vegeta bringing his arms in and flying out looks great. I love that very goofy looking explosion effect because, of course, it fits the style very nice too. These clouds, rocks, I don't actually know what this is technically supposed to be, but I like the look of it either way, which I know is kind of funny. I assume it's rocks, but... And then obviously we just have the Wastelands background here, and of course the characters are going to smack against the screen. It's so funny seeing this in slow motion because you're like, wait, they just spin the sprites? But yeah, that's just the way that they, you know, pretend that the characters are actually smacking against the screen, which is so weird because you just don't think about it really. And then obviously we have the KO screen, which looks fantastic. Obviously Vegeta standing there, and I love, love, love the way that they did the smoke effects. It looks super nice, and that is definitely, I think, one of the best shots of this character for sure. So regarding the rest of the 18 key, right, I think that pretty much this is his most solid animation overall that you'll see. Even going forward into the Great Ape transformations, I definitely think that this one is the best. It is very, very nice looking. There's lots of nice shots in here. I don't think there's really anything with this one that I see any problems with. Frankly, there's a lot of great things. Obviously, the minimal movement is very nice. All the key effects look really good. Again, like I keep saying, the stylized look looks really good. And I even think, too, this is something that I don't really see people talk about, but I think the use of sound effect assets in this one actually is really cool. With the menacing text, you could see that text there kind of flew away as the character was flying towards the screen. Looks very good. So now we move on to the Great Ape transformation. Love how Vegeta looks here too, by the way. I know I'm going to say that a lot, but specifically here, I think they capture the style very well. This, I will say though, as much as I like this animation, there is a real like lack of extra frames here in a lot of these shots. So let's go back to the beginning of this, right? Vegeta obviously holding the ball looks good. I like the effect on the ball, by the way, where it's kind of going wong, 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 wong. You know, you can sort of hear that key blast sound effect in your head. Look at that frame transition here. Let's go back. Look at that. This is in the SA. He's forward and then boop. He's back. Just kind of looks awkward. Like I wish they just added more movement in between. It kind of feels like that they were short on time and they were like, shoot, we need to rush it out. What part can we, you know, not fill in some extra frames to make sure that we could still get the SA out on time? And even here, right, there's a lot of like awkward, just like, you can see the couple of frames that they use in here to sort of like fade into the next one, right? Like you can obviously see the ghost of the previous Vegeta as it's sort of transitioning into the next section of the SA. It's not the worst, but it is definitely not great in terms of just like making a fluid animation. They definitely could have made it a lot better. I know that there are sections in Dokkan where a character is changing position or they're even looking around a character where they do not miss a beat on that full wraparound of the character or their change in expression. So it is a bit disappointing to see that that's the way that they decided to do it. Obviously here they cut from Vegeta's face to Vegeta's face again to the ki blast to him throwing it, which is a decent way to sort of avoid that awkward transition. For some people, I know they don't like particularly enjoy these sharp cuts like this because it does feel a little bit abrasive. I feel like there could have definitely just been like one shot, I feel like, of right, so it goes from this to then, you know, maybe zooming into his face, changing to this expression, and then zooming into his hand, right, like past his face, and then back out for him throwing it. That could have been cool. But there's definitely some other stuff that they could have done. This section, though, I will say is good. Obviously, the cuts here make a lot more sense, I feel like, for this section when he explodes the ki blast and makes the moon. And then, of course, we get the Great Ape transition. I love this, by the way. The shading on this section looks absolutely fantastic. So does this too. And then obviously we get the Vegeta transformation. Now this is another one where it's like, oh, really weird to look at because like that looks fine and there is like, yeah, I don't think I need to say much for this one. It's just very awkward. There's definitely a lot more in the actual animation for him actually changing into a Great Ape. This section does look really good though. I like the way that they have his body sort of pulsating and expanding, which makes sense because obviously him and the armor are both growing at an exponential rate. And I think the animation in this section is fine, but just really with this animation, I think it's the jump cuts in these various different sections, and obviously the transition from, I don't want to say human, I guess Saiyan form, right, to Great Ape is very weird. Ooh, that was a very sharp cut there. Hold on. Let me see that again. Ooh, that was a little awkward too. I didn't even notice that the first time. And that too, wow, when he stands up as well, it's also kind of awkward. There's another like sort of fade transitional frame here. This is why I always like going through these essays and sort of like over analyzing them, because you notice little stuff like this that you would not have noticed before. Yeah, very interesting. I definitely wish that this part was better. I feel like if this part was better, it would make the whole Great Ape transformation overall even more solid. But, you know, it is what it is, unfortunately. Alright, so this is easily his worst essay by far. It's just like, Nothing. I feel like I didn't even watch a super attack when I watched this one. He literally just dashes forward, which it looks fine, right? And then, of course, the punch forward, which the sprite just flies away. And, you know, obviously gets kicked into the rock. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with the animation itself, necessarily. I think that the animation and, like, all of Vegeta's movement looks pretty solid. You know, all of his specific animations look really, really good. But it's just, like, 2 seconds. Like, I know it's a 12 key super, but this literally feels like a free-to-play Grade 8 Vegeta SA, which, if this was a free-to-play units SA, I think this would be a fantastic free-to-play SA. But for an unfeatured LR? Huh? No way, bro. Absolutely no way. It's very lacking. Even if they could have just added some more chunky, like made it more chunky by adding a couple more scenes, I feel like that would have made it better. But anyway, moving on to the 18 key, we obviously have Vegeta getting ready to fire the mouth laser here. This is also a little bit awkward. I understand that why they did this, like, sort of jump cut, but I feel like you still could have had him opening his mouth, right? This is the kind of thing that, and I know I'm, you know, sort of been talking about these jump cuts throughout, but whenever I see jump cuts like this in an animation, it tells me that either the animators were rushed, or they just didn't spend as much time on this one, or various other factors. Because I don't know, like, with so many other shots, even with the regular anniversary LRs, I feel like they were so much better in terms of transitional frames and, you know, changing different angles and stuff. And oh boy, we gotta talk about this one. Okay, so going from the card art here, obviously it shows the Grade A pet again, and this is a decent transition, obviously using the Ki Blast to go into this. I would have kind of liked it if they would have faded to white to this, right? I think that would have been a nicer transition. But this Vegeta shot makes me so frustrated right here, because this literally looks like a Patan battle card, like from the back. Like, this Grade 8 Vegeta looks like it should be a Patan battle card. It looks so out of place in this animation. And I gotta say, his mouth also is not great either. The way that they do his mouth in this shot is pretty awkward. It's hard to tell if, like, this is the bottom of his jaw right here, or if that's just like where the armor cuts off. But I'm pretty sure that that is the edge of his jaw. That's what that looks like to me, right? Because obviously his armor is broken here. So that almost looks like a duck beak rather than like a muzzle that would be on the Great Ape. Also, too, the Ki Blast is pretty underwhelming. The actual, like, ball around him looks pretty good, but the blast that just flies out is literally this dinky straight line with just a little edge to it. Very, very awkward looking when you look at it, super slow, too. As we talked about in the best and even worst, there were a lot of Ki Blasts that I thought looked really, really great last year. And this one is very lacking. As it approaches and hits the rocks, it doesn't look too bad. But obviously that little line sort of just going across the screen is not great. We have the big key bubble at the end, which I think looks pretty good. And that's actually the end of Vegeta's animations here. So overall, I gotta say, I am pretty dissatisfied with how these essays turned out. Upon initially looking at both of these guys, I actually made a tweet about it that I thought that Vegeta looked a lot better than Goku animation-wise. I will sort of give you my thoughts when I finish the Goku video, because obviously I'm literally just about to record that right now. So you guys will see that video in a little bit, and I'll sort of give you my thought which one I like better later. But at the time being, I am pretty dissatisfied, honestly, with these animations. I think that there are some great shots in here. I definitely think that this animation, the untransformed 18 key, is easily the best one, and I do quite like it. But overall, I definitely think that they could have done a better job with this. Like I said throughout, lots of frames that I feel like needed to be added for different transition shots and things like that. I think that the overall stylization of this card is good, but it definitely feels like that they sort of rushed this one out. And it is a shame overall that this is now a gold coin LR card rather than it being a Dokkan Fest, whereas I feel like if it was a Dokkan Fest LR, it would have had a lot more solid animations than what we currently have. But that is going to do it for this animation analysis video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe, and please let me know in the comments if you enjoy the style of video. I very much so enjoy taking a look at Dokkan essays and hyper analyzing them, so I hope you guys do too. And thank you for watching as well. Again, if you'd like to take a look at these animations yourself, it'll be linked in about 5 seconds for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.